Part 39. Urban Super Dude. Author, Eagle in the Desert. Chapter 381. Su Yang. Su Shenbing replied calmly, "Do you think Dad is so stingy? Didn't I just call you uncle a few times? It's nothing. Dad knows you didn't mean it." Su Shenbing showed a smile and said magnanimously, "Dad, I forgive you." "Real? Fuck." Su Yang smiled in relief and said, "Dad is very generous, and the Prime Minister's belly can support a boat. I admire you so much." "Su Yang, don't blame yourself." "Grandpa, I also forgive you at this time," Su Kinkan said, "what you did was not wrong. Hey, I only have myself to blame. I was confused and saw young talents can't help but become sworn friends, so I will reflect on it." Su Yang was a little flattered and said quickly, "No, Grandpa, I was wrong. You don't need to reflect on it. Haha, let's not mention this matter for now." Su Kinkan smiled first, and then asked curiously, "Su Yang, you said you are Su Xiantian, then aren't you a master of the Earth sect?" "No." Su Yang felt that there was no need to hide it anymore, so he spread his palms and mobilized the spiritual energy in his body. Soon, a ball of spiritual energy the size of an apple danced in his palm. "Grandpa, actually, I am not an ancient warrior." Su Yang smiled softly and said, "Like my great-grandfather Su Wuzi, I am a cultivator and have spiritual energy in my body. Some time ago, I became a cultivator in the realm of Qi training. My strength has improved little by little. Kill the smiling Buddha, kill Nalanzu, kill the masters of country D, crush them all the way. Last time at Su Family Manor, as Su Xiantian, I killed 2 late Tiansong disciples," Su Yang 1510 said. Not only that. When Su Jingguo heard this, she added with a smile, "Grandpa, father, a few days ago, my younger brother led Xiaoting and many other secret guards of the Su family to massacre 4 to 5 million enemy soldiers on the battlefield in southern Xinjiang, including 3 more than 1,000 grandmasters even escaped from the hands of Duan Mulu, the invincible war god of country D. Also, just last night, in the Jinluan Hall, I personally killed Prince Ping Long Suxing, who was planning to rebel, and was named Commander Su by the Emperor to lead the 3 armies." Su Jingguo told everything she knew. These words made Su Kinkan and Su Shenbing stunned, with strong shock in their eyes. Su Yang is Su Xiantian. This is incredible enough, but this is just the beginning. A cultivator in the realm of Qi training. The battlefield in southern Xinjiang raged for thousands of miles. Jinluan Hall put down the rebellion. The leader of the 3 armies, Su Shui. Every piece of news was like a thunder that exploded in the minds of Su Kinkan and Su Shenbing, making them unable to calm down for a long time. It took half a minute for the 2 of them to react. Apart from shock, ecstasy appeared on their faces. Su Yang, Su Xiantian, the leader of the 3 armies, Su Shui, "Ha ha ha, I didn't expect my son to be so promising, ha ha ha." Su Shenbing laughed heartily, his eyes filled with relief. This was really a big surprise. Su Yang. Su Kinkan was equally pleased, but he grasped the key point and asked, "Have you really entered the ranks of cultivation?" "Good." Su Yang put away the spiritual energy in his palm, nodded and said, "I am already at the 9th level of Qi training, and I am 1 step away from foundation building. With my current strength, I am invincible under the Shen sect and can crush any Tian section. If you use your full strength, you can compete with the half-step divine section." Su Yang smiled confidently. Confused. Su Kinkan said worriedly, "Cultivation will breed uncertainty. How did you end up on this path? Where did you get the technique?" "Well, it's just a coincidence. I was lucky enough to pick up an antique, and there was a kind of skill recorded on it. I practiced it casually, and unexpectedly I succeeded." Su Yang didn't tell the truth, but made up an excuse. In order to reassure his grandfather, he added, "Grandpa, you don't have to worry about me. Building a foundation is very difficult. I guess I won't be able to build a foundation in this life. As long as I don't build a foundation, I won't be able to come into contact with the unknown thing that Grandpa said." Su Yang added, "I am very satisfied with my current strength. As long as I can be stable, at least I can protect the Su family and everyone I want to protect." When Sukinkan heard this, he breathed a sigh of relief and said, "It's best if you think so. This is a way to become stronger, but you should stop practicing, lest you become like your great-grandfather." "Whereabouts?" "Good." Su Yang agreed on the surface, but how could he give up practicing? Although the Earth's heavenly rules are unfavorable to cultivators, Su Yang has the Void Tower, so he should be able to ignore the unknown and advance without restrictions. Correct. Void Tower. With this in his mind, Su Yang looked at the Void Tower suspended in mid-air, and said again, "Dad, leave this tower to me. I have spiritual energy in my body, so I can study it better. Also, my great-grandfather could use it to suppress that demonic cultivator back then. Like my great-grandfather, I am both a cultivator. Maybe I can use the 9-story glazed pagoda to suppress the demonic cultivator again without losing my life." When Su Shenbing heard this, his eyes fell on Sukinkan. When his father nodded, he agreed. "Okay, you can take it, but you have to develop a relationship with it first before you can take it into your mind." As Su Shenbing was talking, he found that Su Yang just waved, and the 9-story glazed tower that had been with him for more than 20 years flew into Su Yang's mind and disappeared. "What the hell? Are you so heartless?" Su Shenbing was stunned and complained with a dark face. "Haha, I have spiritual energy in my body, so it can't wait to choose me." Su Yang explained, and was not in a hurry to communicate with the Void Tower. Instead, he said, "Dad, Grandpa, I have collected medicinal materials. Now I can cure your injuries and make you normal people. You don't have to lie in bed anymore." Real. It should be, and it's not an ordinary pill. If Su Yang had said this before, Su Shenbing and Sukinkan would not believe it. Time flies. Haha, good grandson, what are you still waiting for? Start quickly, Su Shenbing urged. Want to leave? Grandpa, Dad, you can get out of bed now. If you rest for a few days, your strength will be restored. I lied to you. Before, your grandpa and I were both disabled and couldn't beat you, so we had to deal with it first. But it's different now. I feel full of strength and need to vent." Su Yang nodded lightly, then looked at Su Jingguo and said with a smile, "Sister, this process is more complicated and takes half a day. It's too boring for you to stay here. Go out and relax." "What is he doing, refining elixirs?" "Okay." Sukinkan also walked down, took off his shoes, and strode towards Su Yang. In front of his grandfather and father, Su Yang sat cross-legged, took out the medicinal materials from the storage ring, and began to refine the bone elixir. But now that they knew that Su Yang was a cultivator, they were convinced. Su Shenbing walked down from the bed, took out his belt, and walked towards Su Yang with a gloomy expression. "Humph, Su Yang, I am your grandfather, but you and I are sworn brothers. What are you thinking about? Do you want to piss me off to death? My dearest father is Mo Ruozi, Shen Wen. Well done. You and I came together. Su Yang, don't even think about running away. Just experience the loving care from the elders. If you dare to run away, I won't recognize you, grandson." After another half hour, Su Yang scanned with his spiritual consciousness and found that the bones of his grandfather and father had all healed, and he smiled. Stop. Refining with spiritual energy is a method used by ancient Qi practitioners. What is refined is an ancient elixir. It seems that Su Yang is not lying. We really have a chance to recover. Yes, Su Yang nodded. Su Shenbing and Su Qianqian asked in unison, ecstatically. Okay, little brother, I will leave grandpa and father to you. Su Jingguo agreed, and then left the underground secret room. What's wrong? Su Yang stopped and asked in confusion. But at this time, Su Shenbing and Su Qianqian called out to Su Yang in unison. The words fell. Real. Haha, little bastard, you are very good at acting, but you dare to ask me to call you uncle, you are so rebellious. In a blink of an eye, half a day passed. Su Yang stood up and smiled softly. I have been away from Jiangbei for a while and have not met Fixuan. I went to see Fixuan. If anything happens, we will talk later. Immediately afterwards. Damn, Dad, Grandpa, don't confuse right and wrong. Besides, didn't you forgive me just now? Su Yang took a step back. Su Shenbing and Su Qianqian took action, and soon Su Yang's miserable screams were heard from the scene. Damn, this guy is so rich, he even has a storage ring. Su Yang successfully refined the birth bone pill and gave it to his grandfather and father. Urban Super Dude. Author, Eagle in the Desert. Chapter 382. This intimate friction between 3 generations of grandparents lasted for about 10 minutes before it ended. Su Qianqian and Su Shenbing fought in a mixed doubles match, with intensive punches and kicks that made Su Yang scream in agony. After all, Grandpa had given his word. He couldn't run away and didn't dare to fight back. He could only defend passively. In addition, what happened before made his father and grandfather feel suffocated, and they had to let them out no matter what. Su Yang was mentally prepared to be beaten violently. Let's hit. No matter how hard they get beaten, after the beating, they are still good fathers and sons, good grandparents and grandchildren. At this moment, Su Qianqian and Su Shenbing stopped, panting from exhaustion. Especially Su Qianqian, who held his waist and said, Hey, Shenbing, come and help me, I hit too hard and twisted my waist. Okay father. Su Shenbing hurriedly stepped forward, supported Su Qianqian, and then said, I used too much force, and it hurts my hands now. Su Yang, this little brat, is really resistant. Humph, this kid made me twist my waist and made your hands hurt? You deserve a beating. Su Qianqian stared at Su Yang and gritted his teeth and said, I have to beat him next time. At this time, Su Yang's face was bruised and purple, and he had a question mark. Grandpa, you are not particular about this. You were too excited to hit me, which caused back pain and hand pain. Do you still blame me? If you don't blame me, who do you blame? Before Su Qianqian spoke, Su Shenbing frowned and said, if you hadn't been thick-skinned, would we have been injured? Su Yang looked confused. That makes sense, but I'm speechless. All right. With the support of Su Shenbing, Su Qianqian sat on the edge of the bed, and then said calmly, let's just expose your concealment of Susu Nation's identity. As for the fact that you made me twist my waist today, we will settle the debt later. Okay, you are grandpa, you can do whatever you say. Su Yang quickly agreed and said, can I go now? There are a lot of things waiting for me outside. Wait a minute, don't be in a hurry. Su Qianqian stopped Su Yang again, and then asked, Su Yang, is your cultivation technique powerful? Of course it's awesome. Su Yang looked at Su Qianqian and smiled softly, what, Grandpa, do you also want to cultivate? Well, if you can, please pass it to me. Su Qianqian nodded seriously. Grandfather? Su Yang saw that his grandfather didn't seem to be joking, so he asked doubtfully, your reaction when you first heard that I was a cultivator, I think you are full of rejection of cultivation. Why do you want to cultivate now? Why? Su Qianqian sighed, and then said, I thought about it carefully and felt that it is necessary to embark on the path of cultivation. Your great-grandfather worried too much and did not teach me the cultivation techniques. Later, when faced with the siege of many sects, I was helpless and watched the Su family be destroyed. Sukinkan said sternly, if I hadn't cared so much at the beginning, but had become a cultivator, even if I was only at the peak of foundation building and didn't step into pill formation, I could still protect the Su family. I have already missed it once. Now that I have the opportunity to embark on the path of cultivation, I don't want to miss it again. Sukinkan continued, besides, I'm already old. What's unknown is too far away from me. I don't have to think about it. Su Yang. However, since you want to cultivate, I am naturally willing to help you. In addition to the skills, I also left in your minds the secret techniques of attack, the secret techniques of movement, and some common sense of cultivation. You should study it carefully. Sukinkan and Su Shenbing sat cross-legged, each releasing a ball of spiritual energy, their eyes filled with excitement. Well, I understand, my dear grandson, thank you, Sukinkan said gratefully. However, his grandfather and father insisted on holding him and not letting him go, so they had no choice but to help the two of them start their cultivation. As for the so-called unknown, Su Yang smiled, and then continued, also, Grandpa, Dad, your talents are average, but don't worry, the skills I teach you are top-notch. As Su Yang spoke, he took out another 800 energy stones from the storage ring and said, these are energy stones, but we cultivators call them spirit stones. Grandpa, Dad, because true energy and spiritual energy cannot coexist, the true energy in your body has been dispelled by me. Su Yang looked at the two of them and said with a smile, Dad, it doesn't matter. He is a Huajin himself. Now that he has practiced Qi at the first level, it is comparable to Huajin. But in this way, there will be a distance between Li Chunfeng and him, and there will definitely be some alienation. But Grandpa, you are no longer an ancient warrior in the Earth sect realm. You can no longer use your true energy. Your current strength is greatly reduced. Su Yang took out dozens of energy stones from the storage ring, and then arranged the spirit gathering array. He was busy for a while. Su Yang agreed. Su Yang originally planned to meet Li Feixuan and then go to Evian Villa to resolve the crisis in the Medicine King Palace. All in all, when Sukinkan and Li Chunfeng fought, they didn't care about winning or losing, they just enjoyed the bickering process. The longevity of a cultivator is endless. Even if Dad and Grandpa don't mention it, sooner or later he will let them embark on the path of cultivation. One level of Qi training, haha, now, I am also a cultivator. Not only can it increase the speed of your cultivation, but it can also continuously change your talents. There is a lot of room for growth in the future. Around 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, Sukinkan and Su Shenbing finally became cultivators. Su Yang's eyes fell on Sukinkan and Su Shenbing, and he smiled softly, just leave it to me to protect the Su family and rescue my mother. The competition between him and Li Chunfeng seemed to be evenly matched, but in fact he hid his strength and just wanted to make Li Chunfeng an old friend. Is this spiritual energy? Such sharp energy, incomparable to true energy. Su Shenbing continued, but now that the 9-story glazed tower is handed over to you, the responsibility of guarding that demon cultivator falls on you. Next. At this time, Su Shenbing beside him also said, if you can, please pass the technique to me. Su Yang reminded, so, don't go out to find Grandpa Li to show off for a while, otherwise you will be beaten by him. If there is an opportunity that can make me stronger quickly and have the strength to ignore the land of Zen, even if I am entangled by unknown things and feel miserable, I will give it a try, Su Shenbing said with a firm gaze. Grandfather. Dad. Previously, I was in charge of the 9-story glazed pagoda, carrying the responsibility of the Su family on my shoulders. I was always ready to sacrifice myself to suppress the demonic cultivators. In addition, I was poisoned in my early years and my strength was at a loss. Therefore, I swallowed my anger and never dared to go to the place of Zen. The idea of rescuing your mother. Su Qincan and Su Shenbing were overjoyed when they heard Su Yang agreed, and urged Su Yang to teach them the cultivation method immediately. Otherwise, with the power of Su Qincan's earth sect realm, he could easily control Li Chunfeng. Su Yang is confident in the speed of his cultivation, and he will surely come into contact with the unknown soon. By then, with his experience, he will definitely be able to find a way to resolve it. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Urban Super Dude. Author, Eagle in the Desert. Chapter 383. Although these are only low-grade spiritual stones, for monks in the chi refining stage, the effect is still good. After you refine these, you should be able to advance to the 4th or 5th level of chi refining. Su Yang continued, I would like to remind you that the earth's spiritual energy is thin and energy stones are very important. I don't have many energy stones at the moment, so I can only help you so far. You continue to practice later. If I don't suddenly become rich, I will have to find energy stones on my own. Su Yang's storage ring also contains 1 or 2,000 energy stones, as well as many medicinal materials containing spiritual energy. But those things were what he was going to use to build the foundation, and he couldn't take them out and give them to his father and grandfather. Su Qincan nodded, and then revealed a piece of news. No wonder my father collected hundreds of thousands of energy stones. It turns out that these things are so important to cultivators. What? Su Yang was about to leave the underground secret room, but when he heard this, he immediately stopped and asked with fiery eyes, Grandpa, you just said, how many energy stones did Grandpa collect? Probably more than 500,000. Su Qincan recalled while saying, when your great-grandfather was the leader in the world, he seemed to have discovered an energy stone mine, and thus obtained a large number of energy stones, which were all placed in the Kunlun Su family's treasure house. Energy stones are generally not used by ancient warriors. I guess those energy stones are still in the treasure house. It's a pity that Kunlun is now occupied by the Ximen family. Fuck. Su Yang suddenly thought about it, patted his chest and said, Grandpa, don't worry, the task of tying down the Ximen family will be on me. More than 500,000 energy stones. As long as you get this huge sum of money, you can completely support yourself to condense the golden elixir. Take it. The Ximen family must be captured. But Su Yang had already promised Zhang Honggao that he was going to participate in the 100 sex martial arts competition and also go to the Zen place to pick up his mother. In addition, he has not yet established a foundation, and the energy stones in the storage ring are barely enough. He can only put it aside to destroy the Ximen family. Next, Su Yang said goodbye to his grandfather and father, and then left the underground secret room. The old sect leader of the Tianji sect deduced the secrets and concluded that the Su family will rise in the future and regain its glory and prosperity. After so many years, I always thought that the person who can make the Su family strong again is my father. He will return as a king and conquer the world, but now it seems that this person may be Su Yang. Father, it must be Su Yang. This kid hides deeply and knows how to be patient. I figured it out. When he asked me about the origin of the enemy of the Su family, I told him that he was very strong. He must be pretending to be Su Xiantian, concealing his identity is just to deceive others. I am ashamed of his character. After Su Yang left, Su Qincan and Su Shenbing praised him, and they both recognized Su Yang. Su Yang, on the other hand, was driving a white Porsche speeding down the road. While controlling the steering wheel, he dialed Li Feixuan's mobile phone number. Su Yang. At this time, Li Feixuan's concerned voice came from the mobile phone, where are you? Are you not injured? I'm fine. Su Yang smiled softly and said, "Wife, why do you ask so suddenly?" Su Yang was a little surprised by Li Feichuan's sudden concern. "I called you many times, but you didn't answer. The last time you were like this, something happened." Li Feichuan asked anxiously, "Su Yang, are you okay? I'm very worried about you." I. When Su Yang heard this, a warm current rose in his heart. Li Feichuan was so nice that she disappeared for a few days. Instead of blaming her, the other party was worried about her safety. Such a wife is hard to find even with a lantern. "Honey, I'm fine. Where are you?" "I'll find you," Su Yang said softly. "I'm at home. A strange person came to my house yesterday. My grandpa didn't let me go out," Li Feichuan replied. "Weird person?" Su Yang asked with a smile. "How strange is it?" "That man looked like he was only 40 or 50 years old, but my grandfather called him senior." Li Feichuan said, "When he came, our whole family went to greet him. It was very grand. After that weirdo came to my house, he found a room and wouldn't go out. He didn't eat. He didn't know what he was doing in the room." Li Feichuan whispered, "Su Yang, let me tell you quietly, that person's face is pale and his eye sockets are sunken. He is very sinister and scary. My grandpa is also very afraid of him and treats him cautiously. I have never seen my grandpa behave like this." Li Feichuan then said, "Why don't you, Su Yang, stop coming to my house now? We'll meet again after that weirdo leaves. It's okay. I don't know him. He can't hit me, right?" Su Yang said half jokingly, "By the way, do you know his name? His surname is Zhang. My grandfather calls him Senior Zhang. His name seems to be Zhang Changsheng." Li Feichuan said, "Yes, my name is Zhang Changsheng." "What? Zhang Changsheng?" Upon hearing these three words, Su Yang's expression suddenly changed, and his eyes became cold. The leader of the Iron Fist sect, Zhang Changsheng, actually went to the Li family. "Su Yang, that person looked at me very strangely yesterday and didn't know what he wanted to do. A person who even scares my grandfather must be very powerful. Li Chunfeng, you are so great." Li Chunfeng said resolutely, and then went to the practice room to find Zhang Changsheng. Li Kuowu met Li Chunfeng's gaze and seemed to have thought of something, tears flashing in his eyes. Li Chunfeng sighed, his old face full of helplessness. "What a disaster. I didn't expect that he would choose to settle in our Li family. This is very difficult. What should Fei Xian and Kikai do?" Li Chunfeng smiled bitterly and said, "As expected, today he is going to attack Feichuan and Kikai. For now, he can only try to secretly send Feichuan and Kikai out of the Li family. As for whether they can escape, it depends on their lives." Li Chunfeng said, "I had a chance encounter with him many years ago. His strength has already set foot in the Tian zone. Now it is even more terrifying. Fei Xian and Kikai may not be able to escape. Honey, stay in the room. Don't leave the room. I'll go find you right now," Su Yang said anxiously after hearing this. "Father, where does he come from?" Li Kuowu asked doubtfully. "This person comes from the ancient martial arts sect and is the leader of the Iron Fist sect of Sixing Mountain." Li Chunfeng looked at Li Kuowu with a complicated expression and said, "Don't come back then. Take some money with you and go away. Just pretend that there is no Jiangbei Li family." A man wearing a white jazz uniform and a tall hat strode in. In the hall, Li Chunfeng and Li Kuowu looked solemn. At this moment, Li Chunfeng said seriously, Li Chunfeng, will never do such a thing even if I die." I guessed what Zhang Changsheng was thinking at that time, but there was really nothing I could do. I was afraid that he would destroy the Li family in anger, so I had to do what he said. At this moment, a cold voice sounded in the hall. "Father, what do you mean? do you really want to send Fixuan and Kikai to his room? Li Chunfeng sighed again, and then said, as soon as he came to the Li family, he noticed Fixuan and Kikai, and told me to keep Fixuan and Kikai in the manor and not let them go out. But this Zhang Changsheng is too powerful, I'm afraid we can't stop him. Remember, do as I say, preserving the blood of the Li family is more important than anything else. Li Kuo gritted his teeth and said, all of us in the Li family already respect him enough, but he goes even further. Damn it! Kuo, wait a minute while I go to the practice room to chat with Zhang Changsheng to distract him. You can quietly send concubine Xian and Kikai out of the Li family. Immediately afterwards. Father, that senior Zhang went too far. He actually asked concubine Xian and Kikai to serve him together tonight. Li family manor. At this time, Li Fixuan said, but it's okay. I heard from Grandpa that he will only stay at our house for 2 days and he should leave tomorrow. You can come see me then. He. Why? How can it be? Su Yang immediately hung up the phone, gave up on the Porsche sports car, directly used so far and the end of the world, and hurried to the Li family manor. Why are grown men crying? Li Fixuan asked doubtfully, what's wrong? That person is not a good person. I won't explain it to you. Wait for me. Father. Urban Super Dude. Author, Eagle in the Desert. Chapter 384. This man was tall, about 1.8 meters tall, looked to be in his 40s or 50s, and his face was unusually pale. He is Zhang Changsheng, the leader of the Iron Fist sect and the ancestor of the Zhang family in Kyoto. 2 days ago, when he came to Jiangbei, he had already visited Evian Villa with the Du family in Shenzhen and Sandongqiao Guhangyu. During this period, Zhang Changsheng and Zhang Zhongyue, the insider of Yaoang Palace, had already fought against each other. The two sides fought hard, and both sides suffered losses. However, the Shenzhen Du family and Sandongqiao Guhangyu have not taken action yet. If these two people take action, Medicine King Palace will definitely be unable to compete. But Zhang Changsheng knew not to push too hard. Yaoang Palace was different from other forces. Pushing too hard would only be counterproductive. Therefore, Zhang Changsheng discussed with Du Mingyuan and Gu Hongyu and decided to give the Prince of Medicine 2 days to consider it. They will set foot in Evian Villa again in 2 days. By then, if Yao Wangdian persists in his obsession, the consequences will be serious. In the previous battle, although Zhang Changsheng severely injured Zhang Zhongyue, he himself was also injured. Although it is not serious, it still needs to be nursed back to health. He happened to think of Li Chunfeng in Jiangbei, so he came to the Li family alone and asked the Li family to receive him. Unexpectedly, when he arrived at the Li family manor, he saw 2 stunning beauties at a glance. One is wearing braids, cute and playful, she is simply the best. The other one is alluring to the country, with heavenly fragrance and national beauty, touching people's hearts. After careful questioning, Zhang Changsheng learned that the 2 beauties were named Li Fixuan and Li Kikai, and they were sisters. Sisters. Zhang Changsheng immediately thought about it, but he was still injured. In order not to affect his plan to suppress the Medicine King Palace, he did not taste the sisters' flowers yesterday, but chose to heal his injuries first. Just now, Zhang Changsheng had almost recovered from his injuries, so he notified Li Chunfeng and asked him to send the sisters Li Fixuan and Li Kikai to the practice room. But Zhang Changsheng was impatient after waiting for a long time. He still didn't see the sisters, so he went out to take a look. As a result, he heard the conversation between Li Chunfeng and Li Kuowu and suddenly sneered. Zhang, Senior Zhang. When Li Chunfeng saw Zhang Changsheng, he felt as if he was facing a formidable enemy. He realized that what he just said had been heard, and he quickly begged for mercy. Senior Zhang, my 2 granddaughters are still young, please let them go. If you want to be happy, I can find you a more beautiful girl. Li Chunfeng continued, there are 10 stunningly beautiful women in my manor with clean bodies. I can give them all to you. I just ask you to let my granddaughter go. Haha, those are just vulgar, and they cannot catch my eye. Zhang Changsheng stared at Li Chunfeng and sneered, today, I want to have a taste of those sisters. Li Chunfeng, this sect master has clearly informed you, but you are trying to disobey me. Do you want to die? Zhang Changsheng said solemnly. Zhang Changsheng. When Li Chunfeng saw that his plea was not going to work, he gritted his teeth and said, Fixuan and Kikai are my granddaughters. As long as I am here, you can never harm them. Kuawu, take Fei Xian and Kikai away quickly, I'll hold Zhang Changsheng back. The words fell. Li Chunfeng had a long sword in his hand, and his whole body exuded terrifying power. Haha, it's ridiculous for me to be a little grandmaster and want to stop my sect master. Zhang Changsheng stood where he was, and with a wave of his hand, he blew Li Chunfeng away. Puff! Li Chunfeng had no power to fight back, and his body hit the wall heavily, spurting out a mouthful of blood. Father! Seeing this, Li Kuawa couldn't care so much anymore and rushed towards Zhang Changsheng with gritted teeth. Boom! Zhang Changsheng followed suit and raised his hand slightly. The terrifying power made Li Kuawa cough up blood. In an instant, the Li family's father and son all lost their ability to fight and lay on the ground breathing weakly. I won't kill you. If I marry those sisters, you will be considered my elders, he he he. My sect leader's biggest dream in this life is to have father-in-law and mother-in-law everywhere, and today another city has been added. I've met my mother-in-law before. Tisk tisk tisk. Her charm is still there. Okay, very good. This trip to the Li family is well worth it. Zhang Changsheng showed a playful smile and was keen on doing this kind of thing. Dad, Grandpa. At this moment, Li Fixuan and Li Kikai heard the movement in the hall, walked out of the room, and appeared in the hall at the same time. Seeing Li Chunfeng and Li Kikai lying on the ground vomiting blood, they hurried over, their eyes full of worry. You, why are you out here? Ahem. Li Chunfeng said weakly. Grandpa, Dad, you're bleeding a lot, I'm going to call an ambulance right now, Li Kikai cried like a tearful person. After Li Fixuan panicked, she calmed down and asked, Grandpa, what's going on? Why did he hurt you? But before Li Chunfeng opened his mouth, Zhang Changsheng strode over. He first took off his hat, bent down, and behaved in a very gentlemanly manner. Then he smiled and said, Two beautiful ladies, please meet me. My name is Zhang Changsheng. It's an honor to spend the night with these two ladies tonight. Get away. Li Kikai sobbed and said, Who wants to spend the night with you? He he. Zhang Changsheng's eyes fell on Li Kikai, and he said with a playful smile, It's not up to you whether you agree or not. Your name is Li Kikai, right? It's really exciting, so let's start with you. Zhang Changsheng waved his hand and the door of the hall was closed directly. Subsequently, he walked up to Li Kikai, grabbed Li Kikai's wrist, and forced to unbutton Li Kikai's clothes. Ah! Li Kikai screamed in fright and tried to break free from Zhang Changsheng's control, but to no avail. Kikai. Seeing this, concubine Li rushed forward to help her sister, but Zhang Changsheng raised his hand and slapped her in the face. Snapped. With a crisp sound, Li Fixuan was whipped to the ground by Zhang Changsheng. Her hair was messy, 5 clear fingerprints appeared on her face, and there was blood on the corner of her mouth. Li Fixuan, don't be anxious, come one by one, it will be your turn soon, haha. Zhang Changsheng licked his lips, smiled playfully, and with a gentle tug, Li Kikai's top fell to the ground. Woo-oh! Li Kikai cried helplessly, she had been frightened and her eyes were filled with despair. Kikai. Li Feixuan shouted and crawled over to protect her sister regardless of the pain on her body. What a deep sisterly bond. Seeing this, Zhang Changsheng raised his foot and stepped on Li Feixuan's back, smiling softly and saying, "Since you can't wait any longer, I, the sect leader, will help you. Let's come together." With that said, Zhang Changsheng pushed Li Kekai to the ground. Li Kekai was freed and hurriedly hugged her sister Li Feixuan. The two huddled in the corner, shivering. "Two little fat sheep, tisk tisk tisk, my mouth is watering." Zhang Changsheng narrowed his eyes slightly and immediately extended his claws towards Li Feixuan and Li Kekai. Boom! But at this moment, there was a loud noise from all around, and the door of the hall suddenly fell into pieces. Subsequently, Su Yang's face was gloomy and he strode into the living room with blazing anger and murderous intent in his eyes. "Zhang Changsheng, today, I will cut off your flesh one by one, and let you die in endless fear and pain." Urban Super Dude. Author, Eagle in the Desert. Chapter 385. Aha! Zhang Changsheng immediately stopped what he was doing, his eyes fell on Su Yang, and he frowned and said, "Who are you?" "Su Yang." Su Yang strode forward, and the spiritual energy from the 9th level of Qi training was released without reservation, slowly condensing in his palm. "Su Yang, it's you." Zhang Changsheng paused, and soon thought of something. His eyes were clouded, and he stared at Su Yang with a fierce expression. He had naturally heard about the Zhang family in Kyoto, and Zhang Junping had already reported it to him. The family business that he had worked so hard to build was actually destroyed by a younger boy named Su Yang. Even his own bloodline was wiped out by Su Yang, and Zhang Changsheng was already furious. But he was doing a big thing and couldn't get away, so he stayed in Jiangbei, planning to cut Su Yang into pieces afterwards. But he had already found out about Su Yang's origin. Su Yang happened to be from Jiangbei, a family from Jiangbei. Tonight, Zhang Changsheng originally planned to destroy the Su family after conquering the sisters of the Li family. Su Yang destroyed his family and killed his bloodline, so he slaughtered the entire Su family to satisfy his hatred. But who would have thought that before he went to Su's house, Su Yang took the initiative to send him to his door? Good. Very good. Zhang Changsheng's eyes were cold, his true energy surged throughout his body, and the eyes he looked at Su Yang were filled with murderous intent. "Su Yang, what are you doing here? Let's go." At this time, Li Kuowu, who was lying down, saw Su Yang and said anxiously, "This person is very powerful. You are only in the realm of strength, and you are by no means his opponent." "Kuei Wu, stop shouting, Su Yang is not Hua Jin." Li Chunfen next to him looked at Su Yang, his eyes full of surprise. "The power emanating from him is more terrifying than the Earth sect, maybe he has reached the Tian sect." After a pause for a few seconds, the surprise in Li Chunfen's eyes disappeared, and he sighed, "Although I don't know how he has such a powerful power, the Tianzone realm is not Zhang Changsheng's opponent, and now I can't escape even if I run." With this in his mind, Li Chunfen expressed his apology, "Su Yang, I'm sorry, it's our Li family that has caused trouble for you." "Su Yang." Li Feixuan burst into tears when she heard her grandfather's words. She looked at Su Yang with tearful eyes and choked, "You shouldn't have come here." "Father-in-law, Grandpa Li, concubine Xian." Su Yang met the eyes of the three people and said confidently, "You don't have to worry, I can handle this person." "Ha ha." When Zhang Changsheng heard this, he couldn't help but laugh and said, "Boy, you are so arrogant. This sect leader has already stepped into the divine sect halfway. At your age, no matter how talented you are, you dare to speak arrogant words in front of me. Act recklessly. I have received news about the Zhang family in Kyoto. Su Yang, you led people to break into the Zhang family, disrupted the engagement party, killed my blood, and provoked the majesty of the Iron Fist section today. I will cut you into pieces. The words fell. Zhang Changsheng suddenly took action and jumped towards Su Yang. His fists were densely filled with true energy, exuding terrifying power. Humph, you alone want to kill me. Su Yang snorted coldly, raised his fist and faced Zhang Changsheng directly. Rock Fist. The 100 Generations of Reincarnation Fist. The two shouted loudly, and the next moment, their fists collided. Boom. Along with a muffled sound, the true energy and spiritual energy came into contact, instantly producing a powerful battle aftermath that rippled around. Almost instantly, the furnishings in the hall fell apart under the impact of the aftermath. Fortunately, the aftermath only raged in a space of more than 1 meter and did not cause any harm to the Li family. After the collision, Su Yang took a few steps back and was obviously weaker, but was not injured. Zhang Changsheng also felt uncomfortable. He stood there with a confused expression on his face and a very complicated look in his eyes. Under the influence of Beishi Samsara Fist, he recalled all the past events, so he fell into a brief hesitation. Naturally, Su Yang would not miss this opportunity and raised his fists to strike out one after another. But Zhang Changsheng was not someone to be taken lightly. After all, he was a half-step divine section. He quickly came over with relief, received several punches from Su Yang, and then took the initiative to retreat 3 or 4 meters away. Boy, what kind of boxing technique is this that can attack the soul? Zhang Changsheng stared at Su Yang and asked coldly. Haha, the punch that kills you. Su Yang sneered again, and then said, the space here is too small, we can't use it, go out and fight. Are you afraid of hurting someone from the Li family? Zhang Changsheng glanced at Li Feixuan and Li Kekai, and said with a playful smile, haha, I don't want to accidentally hurt these sisters. After all, they have to serve me tonight. If you go out and fight, go out and fight. This sect master is waiting for you in the courtyard. After leaving a few words, Zhang Changsheng strode out of the living room. Watching Zhang Changsheng leave, Su Yang didn't feel any panic. He shivered when he saw that Li Kekai only had a vest on her upper body. Then, Su Yang picked up the clothes on the ground, walked to Li Kekai, smiled softly and said, Kekai, don't be afraid, just put your clothes on. Well. Li Kekai agreed with a trembling voice, then put on her clothes and said gratefully, thank you, brother-in-law. Su Yang smiled, then looked at Li Feixuan next to him, squatted down and caressed his wife's cheek. In an instant, the fingerprints on Li Feixuan's face were healed by the spiritual energy and returned to their original state. Immediately afterwards, Su Yang said gently, wife, don't worry, I'm here and I can't hurt you. Su Yang, but... Li Feixuan threw herself into Su Yang's arms, her eyes filled with tears. Believe me. Su Yang put his hand on his wife's head, lowered his head and smelled her long hair and said domineeringly, don't talk about a half-step divine sect, even if the background of the 3 major forces in the ancient martial arts world hurts you, I also want them to sacrifice their lives to make amends. Su Yang didn't lie. Now, Shifen has successfully established the foundation. And because she swallowed a large amount of essence and blood during the foundation building process, especially the essence blood from Duan Muo, Shifen's realm was far beyond the initial stage of foundation building. If Shifen is summoned, he will definitely be able to sweep through the ancient martial arts world and crush the 3 major forces. However, Su Yang wanted to kill this Zhang Changsheng himself, and the half-step Shen zone was within the range that he could contend with. Evenly matched fights can enhance one's own strength, so Su Yang did not directly awaken Shifen. Su Yang. When Li Feixuan heard Su Yang's words, she raised her head and looked into Su Yang's eyes. Her heart suddenly melted and she hugged Su Yang tightly. Honey, you wait here for a moment, I'll go and deal with him, and then we'll get tired again. Su Yang gently rubbed his wife's head, then stood up and walked out of the living room. Su Yang. At this time, Li Chunfeng spoke, looking at Su Yang with complicated eyes, and said, "You are a good boy, don't force yourself, if you have the chance to escape, just escape, don't think about us." Grandpa Li. Su Yang smiled softly and said, "Just keep it in your heart, I'm sure." After saying that, Su Yang strode out. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Urban Super Dude. Author, Eagle in the Desert. Chapter 386. Watching Su Yang's back walking further and further away, Li Chunfen's eyes were full of worry. Zhang Changshen has stepped into the half-step divine sect, and that is the half-step divine section. Su Yang, can you really defeat him? Grandfather? Li Feixuan calmed down and said with firm eyes, if Su Yang says it's okay, he will definitely do it. I believe in brother-in-law too. Li Kekai next to her had a pair of big eyes full of trust. Ever since her sister told her the truth that day, she no longer had any hatred for Su Yang, and even thought that this brother-in-law was quite good. In addition, just now, Su Yang fell from the sky and stepped forward in critical moments. Li Kekai's favorability towards Su Yang has increased infinitely. At this time, Li family manor, in the courtyard. Su Yang and Zhang Changsheng stood face to face, facing each other tit for tat. The breaths they released collided in the middle, making the space faintly creak. Su Yang. Zhang Changsheng stared at Su Yang and said coldly, I discovered just now that the energy you used was not true energy, right? That energy is the same as that used by Wang Fuegui, who appeared in the Zhang family in Kyoto before. Zhang Changsheng asked curiously, tell me, what kind of power is this? Maybe I can give you a pleasure. Have you ever heard of Pre-Qin Qi practitioners? Su Yang asked rhetorically. Pre-Qin Qi practitioner. Zhang Changsheng paused, then said excitedly, you are a cultivator, that energy is spiritual energy. Good. Su Yang narrowed his eyes slightly and said indifferently, Zhang Changsheng, you have long been on my must-kill list. Even if nothing happened today, I would still kill you. You can die in my hands. You are worthy of pride. Ha ha ha. Zhang Changsheng looked up to the sky and laughed. He seemed not to have heard Su Yang's threat, and said ecstatically, cultivator, I didn't expect to see a cultivator today. According to legend, cultivation can lead to immortality. My name is Zhang Changsheng. My biggest wish in this life is to never die. Zhang Changsheng looked at Su Yang and sneered, Su Yang, pass on your cultivation method to me and I will spare your life, how about that? He he. Spare my life, how dare you think about it? Su Yang sneered again, and then without any hesitation, he directly used the water dragon technique. Roar. The next moment, there were two water dragons formed by spiritual energy, roaring and killing Zhang Changsheng. Rock Fist. After learning that Su Yang was a cultivator, Zhang Changsheng stopped being careless and used boxing to kill the water dragon. Boom. Boom. After two muffled sounds, the water dragon collapsed. The combat effectiveness of the half-step divine sect should not be underestimated. But when Zhang Changsheng took action to deal with the water dragon, Su Yang had already stepped forward and unleashed the 100 Worlds of Samsara Fist. It's this kind of boxing again. Do you think the soul attack will always be useful? Zhang Changsheng sneered, then concentrated on it and said in a deep voice, solid as a rock, my heart is as iron, rock fist. At the same time, he punched out and met Su Yang's fist. Boom. In this collision, Su Yang took half a step back, but Zhang Changsheng only paused for a moment. He. My sect master has practiced rock fist since he was a child, and his martial arts heart is indestructible. As long as I am on guard, your soul attack will be like a piece of chicken ribs. Su Yang, suffer death. After receiving Su Yang's fist, Zhang Changsheng stepped forward and punched continuously. With Su Yang's current strength, it would be quite difficult to deal with the half-step divine sect. But simply, he can use blood sacrifice to forcibly increase his strength. Blood sacrifice. Seeing Zhang Chang's vivid and true character, Su Yang no longer hesitated and immediately activated the secret technique of blood sacrifice. Buzz. In an instant, Su Yang's energy and blood surged all over his body, his eyes were scarlet, and his strength more than doubled. The qi and blood pills in the storage ring had been eaten up when Duan Mulu was chasing him. But Su Yang got a large number of medicinal materials from Duan Mulu's treasure house, including those that can restore qi and blood, so there is no need to worry about the backlash of the blood sacrifice. Now, Su Yang, whose combat power sword opened and closed, and used the Beishi Samsara fist one after another. He was originally at a disadvantage, but now he was suppressing Zhang Changsheng. Boom! 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 Zhang Changsheng retreated continuously and kept using the rock fist, but he was no match for Su Yang. What a weird method! In an instant, the strength increased several times. Is this a cultivator? Zhang Changsheng's face was full of horror, and he was extremely shocked in his heart, but he turned around and sneered, "Humph, fortunately, this sect leader has a trump card, otherwise I might really be in trouble this time. This is what I am thinking about." After Zhang Changsheng exchanged a punch with Su Yang, he took the opportunity to retreat violently and stood 10 meters away. Then, he stared at Su Yang from a distance and sneered, "Su Yang, I can't tell that you have such a method, but it's a pity, I also have a trump card, and once my trump card is revealed, you will definitely die." "Oh." Su Yang stopped and said disdainfully, "Whatever trump card you have, just use it." "Humph, everyone in the world knows that our Iron Fist sect is unique in the ancient martial arts world with our rock fist." Zhang Changsheng sneered, "But few people know that the true method of the leader of the Iron Fist sect is not boxing, but swordsmanship. I have a sword that can move mountains, fill seas, cut off rivers, and bury all living things." While speaking, Zhang Changsheng turned the ring on his left hand and murmured, "Here comes the sword." Whoosh! In an instant, a long sword shot out from the ring, exuding terrifying pressure. This sword was covered in golden light, covered with mysterious lines, and possessed terrifying power. As soon as it appeared, the space it crushed exploded. If you look carefully, you can find two words engraved on the golden sword, "Sky." With the sky sword in my hand, no one under Shenzone can be my opponent. Zhang Changsheng held a golden sword in his hand, with murderous intent in his eyes, and said sternly, "Su Yang, what are you going to fight me with?" "Storage ring." "Sky sword." Su Yang looked at Zhang Changsheng and said calmly, "I was mistaken. I didn't expect you to have these two good things. If I guess correctly, the storage ring and this golden sword belong to the owner of that ancient arm, right?" "How do you know about the ancient arm?" Zhang Changsheng's face suddenly darkened when he heard this, and he asked coldly. He. Su Yang sneered and said, "I have been to your villa in Kyoto and saw that ancient arm in the underground palace. Your head of the Zhang family cut off one of my brother Wang Fugui's arms, so I took the ancient arm away and put it in his hand." Su Yang smiled softly and said, "Now, the ancient arm has been integrated with my good brother Wang Fugui." "What?" Zhang Changsheng's face changed drastically, and he gritted his teeth and said, "Damn it, Su Yang, I'm going to kill you." "Why, that arm is very important to you," Su Yang asked knowingly. "That is the sacred object of our Iron Fist sect. You actually connected the holy object to the body of a useless person. Ah, Su Yang, suffer death." Zhang Changsheng was furious and immediately waved the golden sword in his hand. Wow! The next moment, there was a terrifying sword energy that cut through the void and killed Su Yang directly. Urban Super Dude. Author, Eagle in the Desert. Chapter 387. Not good. Su Yang's eyes flashed, knowing that he couldn't take the sword, so he quickly used so far to avoid it. Snort. I'm lucky, I managed to avoid my sect leader's sword, but this is just the beginning. Afterwards, Zhang Changsheng held the sky sword in his hand and kept swinging it, causing countless sword energy to wreak havoc in all directions. Facing the half-step divine sect, even if Su Yang uses so far, his whereabouts will still be exposed. But fortunately, Zhuji Tianya is fast enough and can just avoid the sword energy every time. Zhang Changsheng was like a sword god in the world, with his sharp edge displayed. He stood on the spot and kept moving the sky sword, and the golden sword energy crushed all directions. Please refer to King of Glory Li Xin. That's all. Su Yang dodged for 5 or 6 minutes, during which he was accidentally hit by the sword energy once, but fortunately it was not a big problem. Although he was on the run, he already had a countermeasure in mind. Now Su Yang's storage ring contains the hidden sky stone. As long as it is turned on, the aura will disappear. In addition, it is so close to the end of the world that Zhang Changsheng has no chance of sensing his location. Only. Zhang Changsheng's momentum is now at its peak. Even if Su Yang hides his aura and sneaks up on him, it will probably be difficult to kill him. After all, at his level, and with the blessing of the Sky Sword, his ability to sense crises must be very strong. If the attack fails, Zhang Changsheng will definitely be wary and may escape from the Li family manor. Su Yang didn't want to alert the enemy, so he didn't want to take action. Once he did, he would definitely kill. Therefore, he was dormant, first consuming Zhang Changsheng's patience, and at the same time making him think that he had no power to fight back, thus letting him relax his vigilance. When Zhang Changsheng slacks off, it will be Su Yang's best time to take action. Then, Su Yang used close to the end of the world and another 10 minutes passed. For nearly half an hour, Zhang Chang was furious after being unable to attack for a long time, and the energy in his body was also consumed a lot. Snort. Su Yang, you are so shy, you can only avoid it, right? Zhang Changsheng waved his sword and taunted Su Yang, but unfortunately, Su Yang ignored him. Ah! Hateful! Zhang Changsheng was about to explode with anger. He shouted hysterically and waved his sword randomly at the same time. It's now. Seeing this, Su Yang raised a playful smile and immediately opened the Tianyan stone. In an instant, his aura was hidden and his body disappeared into thin air. In the courtyard, it was as if there was no such person. Zhang Changsheng frowned slightly and said in surprise, "Where are people going? It's not good." Zhang Changsheng was looking around, trying to find Su Yang's figure, but at this moment, he suddenly felt a strong crisis, and his heart suddenly froze. He wanted to slash out with his sword, but it was too late. Su Yang had already appeared in front of Zhang Changsheng and punched him hard in the chest. Puff. The next moment, Zhang Changsheng spurted out a mouthful of blood, and his body flew backwards, spreading blood into the sky. Moreover, the sky sword also came out of his hand and fell slowly in a parabola shape. With quick eyes and quick hands, Su Yang jumped into the air and grabbed the sky sword directly in his hand. Buzz. The Kangsheng sword was controlled by Su Yang and was not honest. It trembled violently and tried to break away from Su Yang. Snort. How dare you act so arrogantly in front of me even though it's just a top-grade spiritual weapon? Give it to me, stop it. Su Yang stared at the Kangkyang sword, and a self-centered aura was released from his body, shrouding the Kangkyang sword. The power of the immortal emperor is on full display. Almost instantly, the Kangkyang sword stopped trembling and was controlled by Su Yang. Ahem, my sky sword. Zhang Changsheng fell to the ground and spurted blood again, but he didn't bother to wipe it away and jumped out to grab the golden sword. Seeing this, Su Yang stood there with a sneer at the corner of his mouth. You were swinging the sword very well just now, now it's my turn. The words fell. Su Yang swung his sword, and golden sword energy burst out. This sword energy was much more powerful than Zhang Changshen's. Puff. Ha ha. Golden sword energy shot out frequently, cutting Zhang Changshen's body. This action lasted for a full 3 minutes. Grandpa Li, in front of Fixuan and Kikai, don't ask these questions. Haha, yes, this Zhang Changshen is worthy of being the leader of a section. Although there is no energy stone in the ring, there are many medicinal materials and elixirs. Now Zhang Changshen's body has turned into a puddle of flesh, but the key parts are intact. With a thought in mind, Su Yang opened Zhang Changshen's storage ring and said with a little disgust, however, the space of this ring is too small, only 3 cubes, and it cannot store living objects, so it is of no use to me. Big. Now, you can die. Ah. Su Yang smiled but did not answer. Su Yang smiled softly and said, no, I'm fine. I haven't seen you in the past few days. Do you miss me? He has been killed by me, Su Yang said lightly. Su Yang hugged his wife, aimed at her beautiful face, and kissed her hard. What, you can actually obliterate the half-step divine sect? Li Chunfen's face was full of astonishment. After looking around, he asked, what about his body? Su Yang smiled and said, with it, ancient warriors of Zhang Changshen's level are no longer worth mentioning. Even if you don't use the secret technique of blood sacrifice and don't use the Tianyan stone, you can still kill the half-step divine sect, and it's an honest killing. Cut into pieces by 1,000 cuts. Su Yang strode over, stood in front of Zhang Changshen, and continued to wave the sky sword. Zhang Changshen screamed in pain, and at the same time glanced at his legs, his eyes filled with despair. After putting away the storage ring, Su Yang's eyes fell on the golden sword again, and he said with satisfaction, high-grade spiritual weapon, sky sword. Su Yang directly put the meat on the ground into his storage ring, and at the same time took away Zhang Changshen's ring. Su Yang's eyes were cold and showed no mercy, and finally he cut Zhang Changshen's throat with the sword. At this moment, the lower part of his calf no longer belonged to him, and the bones of his knees were exposed. Su Yang, where has Zhang Changshen gone? Yes. Li Fixuan nodded shyly. So much so that he was in so much pain that he was still alive and conscious. Su Yang, are you not injured? At this moment, Li Fixuan came over and asked with concern. But so. Li Chunfen nodded and said no more. He looked at Su Yang with extremely excited eyes, a mixture of appreciation, shock, and confusion. At this moment, everyone in the Li family walked out of the living room under the leadership of Li Chunfeng. I said, I will let you die bit by bit in fear and despair. At this point, the Iron Fist clan advocated immortality and died. With this thought in his mind, Su Yang contentedly put the sky sword into the storage ring. In the Xiantian immortal realm, this kind of spiritual weapon can only be considered good, but it is difficult to reach the level of elegance. But I didn't expect that the earth actually has a spiritual weapon of this level. Zhang Changshen's eyes looked at Su Yang, and his mouth had lost the ability to ask for mercy. The next moment, Zhang Changshen's legs were cut off by the sword energy, and his body naturally fell to the ground. Urban Super Dude. Author, Eagle in the Desert. Chapter 388. Don't make trouble, Grandpa and the others are still here. Li Fixuan shyly hit Su Yang's chest. It's okay, Grandpa and father-in-law are not outsiders. Su Yang smiled softly, then hugged Li Fixuan as if no one else was watching, and kissed her again. Ahem. At this time, Li Chunfeng coughed twice and turned his eyes to Su Yang. After learning about Su Yang's killable half-step divine sect, his expression changed when he looked at Su Yang. His eyes were full of awe, and he asked cautiously, Su Yang, what's going on with you? Why has your strength changed, so strong? Feichuan, you and Kikai go back to the room first. I'll have a chat with my father-in-law and Grandpa Li, and I'll find you later. Su Yang smiled softly. Okay. Li Feichuan was kissed twice in public. She felt a little embarrassed here, so she nodded shyly and agreed. Brother-in-law, my sister and I will leave first. Li Kikai said goodbye to Su Yang, looking at Su Yang with a pair of beautiful eyes, her lovely face slightly red. After what happened just now, she didn't know why, but she always felt that her brother-in-law was different from before. In the past, Su Yang was an ignorant super playboy in her heart. Li Kikai hated Su Yang and even vented her anger on her sister, beating Su Yang violently. But now, when she looked at Su Yang, there was a wave of emotion in her heart. If her heart was a calm lake, then Su Yang's voice and smile would be like a pebble falling into the lake, making her heart no longer calm and causing ripples. Well, you go ahead. Su Yang smiled softly. Yeah. After getting Su Yang's permission, Li Kikai and Li Feichuan left together. Grandpa, if there is something Su Yang doesn't want to say, don't press too hard and don't make it difficult for him. Before leaving, Li Feichuan never forgot to remind Li Chunfeng to consider Su Yang at all times, which moved Su Yang very much. Watching his wife and Li Kikai go away, Su Yang looked at Li Chunfeng and smiled softly. Grandpa Li, I know you have a lot of doubts in your heart. My concubine and I are engaged, and you and your father-in-law are not outsiders. Let me tell you. Nothing. Su Yang continued, as for my strength, this is just because I was lucky. I accidentally picked up a powerful cultivation method and became a cultivator by luck. Cultivation person. Li Chunfeng was shocked when he heard this, and said with astonishment on his face, are you referring to the ancient qi refiner? Good. Su Yang nodded and said, now, I have stepped into the 9th level of qi training, and I am only one step away from building the foundation. As for my combat power, you have also seen that I can kill even half a step of Shenzone with all my strength. So strong. Li Chunfeng was so shocked that he froze on the spot for a moment. Li Kuo next to him asked doubtfully, Su Yang, since you are so strong, why do you hide your strength and let everyone think you are a playboy? Father-in-law, do you know what it means to keep a low profile and bide your time? Su Yang had prepared his words in advance, so he responded, our Su family has a long history, and our enemies are very powerful. You must know that my mother died 5 years ago. In fact, she did not die, but was taken away by someone. The other person came from a giant. But you must hold on and firmly believe that the rainbow will always come after the storm. Never give up on a beautiful life and think about the good in everything. Li Kuo comforted him seriously. Su Yang continued, in the past few days, I have not been in Jiangbei. I first went to the battlefield in southern Xinjiang and swept across the wasteland. Then I went to Kyoto to kill Prince Ping. Why? Father-in-law, please tell me quickly, I can stand it. Su Yang urged. Su Yang was about to confess and say that he was Su Xiantian, but at this moment, Li Kuo next to him suddenly spoke. As concubine Xian's father, I am ashamed to talk about this matter, but our Li family cannot hide it from you. The person who loves you is Su Xiantian. Li Kuo met Su Yang's gaze, first took a shot, and said, what I say next will have a huge impact on you. Maybe you will be heartbroken, bowed, and feel that your life has hit the bottom. Yes, Li Kuo nodded in agreement. After pausing for a moment, Li Chunfeng asked doubtfully, since you are a cultivator, why do I think you have entered the realm of energy transformation after taking the Tongshen pill? Li Kuo looked at Su Yang with a very complicated expression. He hesitated to speak, but he looked at Li Chunfeng and finally gritted his teeth and said, Father, I think our Li family should be upright. We should not hide that matter from Su Yang. Su Yang was stunned, his eyes full of doubts. Father-in-law, What's the matter? What? Grandpa Li, the Tongshen pill has really helped me a lot and raised me to a small level. But now they know that Su Yang's achievements far exceeded their imagination. Hearing these words, Li Chunfeng and Li Kuowu were stunned and really didn't know what to say. Su Yang continued, I'm not strong enough yet, so I didn't want to alert others, so I chose to be patient and use my identity as a playboy to hide myself. Grandpa Li. Su Yang said with a slight guilt, having said this, I want to apologize to Grandpa Li for hiding this from you at that time. Haha, Grandpa Li, the true energy you see is disguised by me using spiritual energy, Su Yang explained. These words made Su Yang panic. What do you mean? Li Kuowu looked at Su Yang, his face full of guilt, and finally said, Su Yang, you were cheated. Su Yang, this matter is not very honorable. Our Li family is sorry for you, but you have the right to know. Now, the current emperor has named me Commander Su, in charge of the 3 armies, Su Yang said calmly. Now that I have the strength to compete with that force, there is no need to hold back anymore. Damn it! Li Chunfeng smiled bitterly and said, I thought the Tongshen pill would be effective on you, but I didn't expect you to take another path. Originally, they thought that Su Yang was a unique martial arts prodigy after taking the magic pill and quickly gaining strength, so they attached great importance to Su Yang. Su Yang, why are you being so polite to Grandpa Li? We are all a family. I see. Speaking of Su Xiantian, Su Yang, there is something that has been buried in my heart for a long time. I won't be happy if I don't vomit it today. When he mentioned this matter, Su Yang touched the bridge of his nose and whispered, well, actually I am. When Li Chunfeng heard this, he sighed, then nodded and said, Kuei Wu, you are right, you should stop hiding it, tell Su Yang. Su Yang. Li Chunfeng looked at Su Yang, smiled with satisfaction, and then asked, wait a minute, there is one thing I'm curious about. Since you are so strong, why didn't you take action when the Su family was in trouble? Several times both your father and grandfather are going to die, and your grandfather's sworn brother Su Xiantian helped resolve the issue in the end. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Urban Super Dude. Author, Eagle in the Desert. Chapter 389. What the hell? I am Su Xiantian, I am cheating on myself, how come I don't know? Su Yang was stunned for a moment and paused for a while before reacting. When the Li family was in trouble before, he disguised himself as Su Xiantian and resolved the Li family's crisis. At that time, Su Yang had some contact with Li Feixuan despite his identity as Su Xiantian, which led to misunderstanding between Li Chunfeng and Li Kuowu. Later, his father-in-law seemed to want to make amends by taking him to a high-end club. After working on it for a long time, it turned out that this was what his father-in-law said, and Su Yang suddenly smiled. Su Yang. What's wrong with you? Stop giggling. Li Kuowu was frightened and quickly comforted him, I know you are very sad. Let it out. Don't hold it in. It's easy to hold it in. Su Yang. Li Chunfeng, who was next to him, also hurriedly said, Fei Xian may have been confused for a moment, so she talked to Su Xiantian, now she has changed her ways. Old man, I can assure you that Feixuan has never seen Su Xiantian again since that day. Li Chunfeng continued, if you are willing to forgive Fei Xian, I will arrange for you to get married another day. If you dislike her, don't worry about anything. The engagement between you can be terminated. This is because our Li family is sorry for you. You can make any demands you have. We will never complain. Father-in-law, Grandpa Li. Seeing this, Su Yang wanted to tease the two of them, so he said with a sad face, since it has happened, there is no use in complaining. I really like Fei Xian, so I am willing to accept everything from her. Can you arrange for us to get married as soon as possible? Su Yang's eyes were firm and he said seriously, I want to bring happiness to my concubine, and I will protect her for the rest of my life. To this day, Su Yang has not had any relationship with Li Feixuan. Li Feixuan said before that she would not give her precious first time to Su Yang until her wedding day. But he and Li Feixuan were only engaged, but had not set a wedding date. Therefore, Su Yang wanted to take this opportunity to speed up and have sex with his wife. When the time comes, he. Su Yang. Li Kuowu didn't know that Su Yang was Su Xiantian. When he heard these words, he was moved to tears. You are such a good man. Concubine Xian is able to meet a fiancé like you who doesn't care about past grudges. It's a blessing she has earned over several lifetimes. Today, you will get married today, and I can hand over the concubine's declaration to you. I'm at ease. Li Kuowu excitedly held Su Yang's hand. Today. Ha ha ha. Cool. Su Yang thought of the scene of the wedding with his wife, and couldn't help but smile. Kuowu, what are you talking about? It's already night now, the wedding venue has not been decorated yet, and the guests have not been invited. How can we get married? But Li Chunfeng said, Su Yang, don't worry now. I will discuss the wedding date with your grandfather and father, and try to choose a good and auspicious day to get married as soon as possible. All right. When Su Yang heard this, although he was a little reluctant, he had no choice but to agree. When Li Chunfeng and Li Kuowu saw Su Yang's expression, they thought Su Yang had something in his heart, and they both felt a little guilty. By the way, Su Yang. After a while, Li Chunfeng had forgotten his previous question, but changed it to another question, wondering, you just said that your mother was not dead, but was taken away by the enemy. What is the origin of the other party? Them. Su Yang paused, and then said, they come from the land of Fengchan, and the person who took my mother away is the master of Mount Tai, Shi Hehan. Okay. Li Chunfeng reacted, stroked his beard, and laughed heartily. In the future, I can compete with Su Baimao in martial arts again. And Shi Hehan, the master of Mount Tai, is one of the most powerful ancient warriors in the world today, and he belongs to the top of the ancient martial arts pyramid. After thinking about this, Su Yang said, hey, Grandpa Li, there is something you may not know. My grandfather and father are now very active and healthy. What? Su Yang nodded in agreement. Damn, those two were really hard at beating me. Su Yang continued to express hatred. The reason why he pretended to be tied with you was just to tease you. He wanted to see your embarrassed appearance after using all your strength. He thought it was funny. Who said that? The land of Zen, Shi Hehan. Su Yang paused, then turned to a playful smile. Grandpa Li, you don't have to worry. As expected, when Li Chunfeng heard this, he suddenly became furious and his face was very ugly. He wished he could fight with Su Qianqian immediately. I almost forgot, you are a cultivator now and can refine magical ancient elixirs. Ha ha ha, you are cured. That's good. Seeing this, Su Yang smiled and said, have you forgotten that now that I am a cultivator, I have the power to compete with the place of Zen? Comparing martial arts? Li Chunfeng nodded lightly, thinking of Su Qianqian, and sighed, hey, it's such a pity for your grandfather and father. Their bones are broken and they have become useless. They will never stand up again in this life. But it's full of life. Unexpectedly, the Su family had such an enemy, and Li Chunfeng naturally found it incredible. Li Chunfeng was naturally no stranger to the place of Fengchan. It was one of the three giants in the ancient martial arts world. Really? Li Chunfeng said in surprise. Su Yang smiled softly and said, Grandpa Li, I won't tell you more. You can go to the Su family manor and ask my grandpa, he will tell you. This is complicated. He was a casual cultivator who had also been in the ancient martial arts world before coming to Jiangbei and establishing the Li family. Su Yang smiled and said, "Grandpa Li, before I came here, I had already refined the bone-sparing pill and cured them. By the way, Su Yang, your Su family is just a small family in the city. How could you get into the land of Fengchan? Why did the Lord of Mount Tai take your mother away?" He turned around. Li Chunfeng said doubtfully. Li Chunfeng met Su Yang's gaze and saw that Su Yang didn't seem to be lying, so he nodded and said, "Grandpa Li believes in your strength. It's a pity that the other party is too powerful and our Li family can't help. My grandpa said that in his eyes, you are just a little grandmaster. He doesn't care about you at all. If he really fights, he can crush you with just a raise of his hand. Actually, my grandfather has already set foot in the Earth sect, and his strength is way ahead of yours. Grandpa, it was you and Dad who beat me first. Don't blame me for bringing hatred to you. God has reincarnation, so you deserve a beating." However, after pausing for a few seconds, he looked at Su Yang and asked, "Su Yang, is your grandfather really a master of the Earth sect?" Su Yang continued, "When he competed with you before, he deliberately gave in to you and did not use his true strength." When Li Chunfeng heard these words, his expression suddenly changed, and his eyes were full of horror. Urban Super Dude. Author, Eagle in the Desert. Chapter 390. Previously. Su Yang said truthfully, "But now, my grandfather is dead. His injury has just recovered. His current fighting power is just a matter of strength. Grandpa Li, now you can defeat him completely. Grandpa Li, although he is my biological grandfather, you are not an outsider." I felt angry after hearing what he said before. How could I tease you like this? It's too much. Su Yang reminded, "Grandpa Li, if you want to settle accounts with him, you'd better do it as soon as possible. Otherwise, when he becomes powerful, you won't be able to settle accounts with him." "Good. I see." Li Chunfeng gritted his teeth and said, "Su Bai Mao, I regard you as my best friend, but you treat me as a toy, hiding your strength and teasing me. Haha, very good, now you are in the realm of strength, let's see how I deal with you." "Su Yang, if I beat your grandfather, it won't affect his injuries, right?" Li Chunfeng asked. "Won't." Su Yang gritted his teeth and said, "My grandfather is recovering very well. He even taught me a lesson with my father before." "You are so good, why did they beat you?" Li Chunfeng asked curiously. Su Yang sighed and said, "Hey, they are blaming me for hiding my strength." "That's ridiculous." Li Chunfeng snorted coldly and said, "You are right to do this. You have considered it very carefully. If you are as beautiful as Lin Feng, it will be destroyed. If you are too showy, you may be strangled by your enemies before you have grown up. They don't beating you indiscriminately is too much. Grandpa Li, you still understand justice?" Su Yang said helplessly, "Hey, it's a pity that I'm just a junior. My dad and grandpa want to beat me, and I can't resist, and I can't even run." "Good boy, Su Yang, you are a good and filial boy." Li Chunfeng looked at Su Yang with admiration, and then said seriously, "Don't worry, you can't fight back, but I can, Grandpa Li. You are the son-in-law of my Li family. You must not be beaten for no reason, even if the people who beat you are your father and grandfather." Li Chunfeng said protectively, "Just wait, I will go to the Su family manor immediately to avenge you." "Grandpa Li, you are so kind to me." Su Yang burst into tears of gratitude. "Son, don't be so polite. Who made you my grandson-in-law? If I don't protect you, who will protect you?" Li Chunfeng smiled kindly, then suddenly remembered something, and gritted his teeth and said, "Su Yang, you are so powerful now, can you kill someone?" Kill? What's going on? Does the Li family have enemies?" Grandpa Li, just tell me who to kill, Su Yang said sternly. Su Xiantian. Li Chunfeng said with murderous intent in his eyes, this son is definitely not a kind person. Although he is kind to the Su family and also kind to our Li family, he has ulterior motives and even declared it to the concubine. In short, this person must die. Su Yang, you are a man. You have accepted concubine Xian, but if you want to live with concubine Xian for a long time, go and kill Su Xiantian, and it will be over with, Li Chunfeng suggested. Kill Su Xiantian? Do I kill myself? What the hell? Grandpa Li. After Su Yang came to his senses, he said, don't worry, Su Xiantian will not appear again from now on. Indeed. Now that Chufen has established the foundation and Su Yang has a foundation, there is no need to disguise himself as Su Xiantian. But when these words fell into Li Chunfen's ears, his meaning changed. He thought Su Yang had promised him to kill Su Xiantian and make Su Xiantian disappear completely. So, Li Chunfen nodded with satisfaction and said, okay. Grandpa Li, it's important to do business. You should go to the Su family manor as soon as possible. Su Yang smiled softly and said, Fei Xian is still waiting for me in the room, so I won't chat with you anymore. Father-in-law, goodbye. After saying goodbye to Li Chunfeng and Li Kuowu, Su Yang strode out of the courtyard and headed to Li Feiquan's room in a familiar way. Watch Su Yang go away. Li Chunfeng nodded, his eyes full of appreciation. This kid Su Yang has such a good nature. Hearing this, Li Kuowu also felt that what his father said made sense. At this moment, this won't work. Our Li family never owes anything to others. Fei Xian has done something wrong to him, so we must make it up to him. Su Yang arrived at the door of Li Feiquan's room and was about to knock on the door when he heard his wife whispering to Li Kekai. Li Chunfeng said sternly, what's more, for an excellent man, 3 wives and 4 concubines are nothing. Besides, these 10 people are not concubines, they are just common room girls. Just do as I say. Okay sister, stop pretending, tell me honestly, if my brother-in-law proposed to talk to you tonight, ahem, would you agree? Sister, have you ever done that kind of thing with your brother-in-law? Is your brother-in-law great? No. No, but I almost did it a few times before, but it was a pity that I was interrupted. Kekai, you are so shameless. How can you ask such a thing? It's so shameful. I took him to the high-end Jade Finger Fairyland Club, just for a bath, but he didn't want to get a massage. Compensate him more. Li Kuowu responded, it seems that Su Yang has changed his past and no longer wants to hang out in the club. Snort. Li Chunfeng said, the original purpose of training them was to serve as dowries for concubine Xian and Kekai, to prevent them from being bullied by their husband's family after they get married. Hey, there's no one else here anyway, it's just the 2 of us, just tell me, I promise not to tell anyone else. Yes, father, our Li family is so sorry for him, Li Kuowu said guiltily. What do you know? A drop of kindness should be repaid by a spring. This is the fine tradition of my Li family. Li Chunfeng was non-committal and asked instead, by the way, Kuowu, I asked you to compensate Su Yang last time. How did you do it? It's a pity, sister, you actually used the word pity, haha, it means you think about it too. Yes. With that said, Li Chunfeng left the Li family and went straight to the Su family manor. Especially the kindness given by a drop of water is repaid by a spring. After eliminating the guilt in his heart, Li Chunfeng snorted coldly, gritted his teeth and said, Su Bai Mao, I am going to tear apart your bones today. Li Kuowu hesitated and said, 10 maids, isn't that too many? Concubine Xian only felt sorry for Su Yang once. Now it's time to give all 10 female dolls to Su Yang and let them serve Su Yang first, so as to resolve the knot in Su Yang's heart. Damn girl movie, who thought, I made a slip of the tongue, I don't want to do that kind of thing. Father. The traditional virtues of the Li family cannot be lost. Hearing this, Su Yang lay beside the door, pricked up his ears, and wanted to know the answer. As for Li Kuowu, he summoned the 10 young girls who were as beautiful as flowers and jade to arrange his father's wishes. Li Chunfeng paused, then seemed to think of something, and smiled softly, yes, haven't we cultivated 10 top beauties in our manor? They are all very beautiful. They are all as beautiful as flowers and jade, and they are all ancient warriors who have reached the half-step power level. Li Chunfeng said with a smile, in this way, our Li family will no longer be ashamed of Su Yang.